Hey, welcome back to Guitar Discoveries. I'm Robert Cassard. Welcome into my control room today. I have a really fun guitar to check out with you. It's a premium Danelectro. Now, if you know anything about Danelectros, you'd say, what, a premium Danelectro? I'm actually talking about a guitar built by Jerry Jones in Nashville, right here in the US of A. All right, let's talk a little bit about Danelectros. You know, it's a company with a bit of a checkered past. They were started in the late 1940s by a guy named Nat Daniel, hence the name Danelectro. They were electric guitars and amps, mostly sold through Sears and Montgomery Ward, or Monkey Ward, as my father used to like to say. They were no-frills guitars. They were made in kind of the cheapest way possible at that time. Masonite top and back. They had a poplar body, so it was basically cheap wood. So they were inexpensive, but they had this really cool sound, and that sound became associated with a whole lot of music back in the 50s and 60s. 1969 comes along, and they close their doors. So the Danelectro is no more. Only vintage Danelectros are available at that point. And as we move forward into the 80s and into the 90s, if you want a Danelectro sound, you either got to go buy a vintage one and have all the problems that are associated with those early models where the pickups aren't particularly good, intonation's tough, things like that. Or you can be a hero, a guy by the name of Jerry Jones in Nashville who says, I want to start building Danelectros the way they should have been built in the first place. And he's still going to use a poplar body, and he's still going to do Masonite top and all that, but he's going to improve the lipstick pickups and make them really higher quality winding that they do themselves and less noise. He's going to put an actual rosewood fingerboard on that guitar. He's going to have a truss rod that's easily accessible. It's going to have a much better bridge where you've got actual individual subtle adjustments you can make, for example, to the G strings, which are a notorious problem if you have a fixed bridge. The bridge is actually going to hold up, unlike the bridges on old Danelectros. Now, if we talk about, new Danelectros, they're out there too, right? You can potentially find a new Danelectro that is probably made in China or Korea or something like that. And in many cases, they're going to be rough too, unless you invest a lot in fixing it up or replacing some components. Or you can just go and find a Jerry Jones. Now, Jerry Jones started making these in the 80s, and he made them all the way up until 2011. And if you find one of these, they're going to be more expensive than a Danelectro. It's probably going to be twice the cost. But as a lot of people who are connoisseurs and guitarists will tell you, they are 10 times the guitar at twice the price. But to get a Jerry Jones like this one, or if you want a 6-string or their sitar models, things like that, a lot of times you're going to see them for $1,500 to $2,000 these days. They used to retail for about $700-ish. And, at that time, that was not a cheap guitar by any means. But again, all US made, super high quality components on a guitar that essentially has the same kind of specs and mojo as the original Danelectros. So, guitar player's version. Now, if you want to hear someone playing this who's a well-known player, look at Nels Cline of Wilco. He's a devotee of Jerry Jones, absolutely loves him. That's most of what I want to tell you about the guitar. You probably want to hear what it sounds like, don't you? Here's one from the Hollies.
Moving on their way.
That's the jangle of the 60s right there. Not a Danelectro, it's a Jerry Jones version of a Danelectro. And a couple things I should probably mention about it. I mentioned that it had this nice rosewood fingerboard. Another thing that makes it really special, I have a pretty big hand, and I've tried Rickenbackers, and I always feel like the nut width is too narrow on the stock models. This one is another tenth of an inch wider, and that makes just enough difference for me to fit my hand easily for, an A chord using 3 fingers and things like that. So it's a really nice guitar from that standpoint. So there's your guitar discovery for the day. The Jerry Jones Premium Danelectro. Go find one. You'll be very happy you did. These play like a dream. Please subscribe. I'd love to share more interesting, amazing guitars with you and accessories and things like that. So come back and see me again. I'm Robert Cassard.